I think cinema is a good thing. I think Hollywood corrupts people.
Eu acho que o que nós temos aqui em Hollywood é arte de qualidade.
Hora de festejar, machaiada fogosa!
Can you tell me a little bit about the process of creating the Babylon story?
Yeah, it was a long process. It was, sort of bit by bit over the years. I first had the idea about 13 years ago and just kind of, sort of kept chipping away at it. It was such a big undertaking, the amount of research, the amount of characters in it, that I sort of didn't feel ready to really attack it until quite recently. In some ways I had to, I think, do the other movies, do Whiplash and La La Land and First Man in order to sort of feel equipped to handle something of this scale.
And what did you study to do like that? Like, did you watch movies, read books?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. It started with the research of just trying to figure out what was life really like at this time in Hollywood. And I just found myself continually shocked by what I found, that I had this idea of sort of old Hollywood as being, kind of quieter and tamer and tidier than it was. And in reality, I mean, this period of Hollywood history was just chaos. It was hysteria. It was this sort of sustained madness of drug use, of sexual liberties, of debauchery and depravity that just was at a scale unlike anything I'd ever seen. So it just motivated me all the more, I think, to try to do a movie that would capture that would be honest about that, not sugarcoat, not whitewash, not sanitize, show you the full, crazy, dirty, sordid reality of Hollywood at that time.
And Babylon is quite different from your other films. What's the secret of keeping your personality and make films that are so different?
Well, I like trying to vary things up with each movie. I think in some ways it's just a sort of gut thing where as soon as you've finished one kind of movie, you sort of have an itch to do something totally different. In many ways there's overlaps, of course. They all sort of, I guess, have stories that deal with dreamers and people pursuing goals and the costs of those goals and that kind of ambition. Maybe because I relate to that on a personal level, but I think that in terms of the tone, I like switching things up. And so here in this movie, to kind of play with tone the way I did here, with sort of broad comedy and crazy behavior, but also the ways in which those things can collide into tragedy and how multiple genres can sort of collide, and just to try to, I guess, weave them all into one big, epic, panoramic tapestry. That was, it was something that sometimes gave me cold sweats, gave me, nightmares of like, oh, how am I going to pull this off? But I don't know, the more I feel that, sometimes the more I feel like I'm on the right track. I got to do what scares me, and then maybe I have a chance of doing something special.
What do you think that the message of Babylon is? Like, cinema is a good thing or it corrupts people?
I think cinema is a good thing. I think Hollywood corrupts people. So I think in a way it's a little bit of both. I sort of intended it as both a love letter and a poison pen letter. And so I wanted to show both sides of the spectrum. The highs are the highs and the lows are the lows. My movie love knows no bounds. But to tell the story of Hollywood, especially its origins, I think you have to be honest about the cruelty that was inherent in the system, the violence of it, the brutality of it. Hollywood was and remains a machine that swallows people up, chews them up, and spits them out. And there's a mercilessness to that I think some movies about old Hollywood don't really, don't do justice to. So it was important to me here to be very honest about both the highs and the lows and show you the full picture.
My first question is, Jovan, that first scene, was the elephant a CGI? I'm really doubt of it. The one that you were playing?
I would like to leave that open for interpretation.
Yeah. I'm always afraid to spoil the movie magic, so I can't.
Yeah.
I keep imagining like you guys shooting it and like, there's an elephant in the room, But okay. What do you think is the importance of a character like Sidney in a movie like Babylon?
I think he's a representation of actual people who came before me, and these are artists who are trailblazers and pioneers in the realm of Black entertainers, and they were trying to navigate what fame is, and they all started out as maybe purely musicians or maybe struggling actors or background artists who were able to find themselves in front of the camera in more central roles. So I think it's really cool to get to see Sidney's arc as somebody who's just kind of working to try to make ends meet with his talent. And then there's an uptick or a shift in the film industry where he finds new opportunities to change his lifestyle.
And do you know how to play? Like the
trumpet? I do not. Yeah. In fact, I that's exactly how I started to learn to play it. And but I had a great coach, and Justin and Damien had all the faith and the patience in making sure I learned enough to play this character fully. And I'm really grateful for them for giving me the time to do that.
For me, you are a great player, like
Thank
singer,
you.
Musician. I'm sorry. Great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It makes me feel good.
Lee, for you, what is like shooting scenes in the 20s and the 30s? And I have to say that Lady Fay is amazing. She's like the best character ever, and I want a spin-off of her.
I would love that. It's so special to film something in the 20s. It's extremely glamorous. I feel like we are very too casual now at times. I mean, we get away with wearing sweatpants and workout clothes, which is I'm very guilty of. I live in those two options. But back then, you know, everything was glamorous. The hair, everyone always made up and made themselves up for every event. Their clothes were silk and just everything was beautiful. Everything was an event. So I don't know. I think that's what was really special about it.
And Lee, you start very intense scenes with Margot Robbie. There's 2 beautiful scenes with her. How were the shootings and this mood in the set?
We have a tango scene, which actually took quite a long time to rehearse, not because we were terrible dancers, but we kept having to change the choreography based on how Damien wanted the choreography to work with the space. Even on the very last day when we were on location, we still had to change the choreography because of the size of the pool. You know, how he wanted to cover us and how when we were spinning, how he wanted to tell the story with the movement and how we moved from one end to the other. So that was really fun. And Margot and I couldn't keep a straight face when we were rehearsing. I still can't believe I didn't step on her feet because she wasn't wearing any shoes. Yeah. And then the snake scene, that was a challenge all in itself. You know, nice and sandy in the desert with some honey and water venom in her neck. Loads of fun, an experience that I'll never probably have again, this crazy and imaginative.
Whoa.